Hi, this is Congressman Tom Cole, the 4th District of Oklahoma. It's my pleasure to do what I've done annually for the last several years, and that's give a warm-up speech, if you will, to the rally on Capitol Hill for biomedical research. You know, I've always been a passionate advocate of this particular cause, and I'm proud of the progress that's been made both during my tenure as chairman and as ranking member, working with my good friend Rosa DeLauro of Connecticut, who now not only chairs the subcommittee, but the full committee. You know, for 6 years in a row, we've been able to make major increases in investment in the National Institute of Health. And during that time, I coined the phrase years ago that you're more likely to die in a pandemic than you are in a terrorist incident. I thought it was a clever line then. I think, sadly, the last couple of years have shown us how accurate it was and how critically important it was, not only that we were able to respond as we did with the creation of 3 vaccines in record time, but that the infrastructure and the emphasis on biomedical research that's so important to sustained excellence in this field had been created and built upon year after year in a bipartisan fashion. You know, if coronavirus has not have taught us anything, it's taught us how important it is that these investments continue and expand in the future. I'm excited, actually, that President Biden has put forward in his budget a very robust investment in the National Institute of Health and the creation of a new entity, a so-called ARPA-H. That is Advanced Research Project, similar to what we call DARPA in the defense world, where we can take some big chances and make some big bets, and they won't all work, but some of them will, and we'll see some actually absolutely extraordinary breakthroughs. You know, it's important that with all the controversies on Capitol Hill, we find things that Republicans and Democrats can agree upon. For 6 years in a row, Republicans and Democrats, whatever their differences, managed to pass legislation that increased funding for biomedical research. That wasn't done without a lot of good bipartisan cooperation. It didn't matter who was the president. It didn't matter which party controlled Congress. Each year, the bills got done at least within the calendar year, maybe a little bit later on a couple of occasions, and all of them had substantial increases for the NIH, also for the CDC, and for other related efforts and agencies. This year, in the long shadow of the pandemic, and with that struggle far from over, it's more vital than ever that we make these kind of investments and keep this enduring national commitment in building sustained excellence in biomedical research. Literally, the future of our society and our country, not to mention humanity, depend on our ability to make these kind of investments and sacrifices, and frankly, to generate the kind of results that we saw in Operation Warp Speed and the other efforts to deal with coronavirus. Yes, there's been controversy. Yes, there's been partisanship. But the most important thing is the investments were made and the results have been dramatic, and they've been to the benefit not only of the American people, but quite frankly, to all of humanity. But when you go up and visit with individual offices today, first of all, thank them for what they've done. They hear plenty of criticism for what they haven't done well. Then follow the advice I always give this particular group, because Democrats and Republicans really are different in which arguments appeal to them. I always tell my friends, when you're lobbying a Democrat, tell them it's the right thing to do. They'll do anything to do the right thing. If it includes bankrupting the country, that's okay, because it's the right thing to do. And in this case, it really is the right thing to do. It's the right thing to do for all of humanity. It's the right thing to do for the health and well-being of the American people. It's the right thing to do for the future competitiveness of American science and biomedical research. But when you deal with the Republicans, tell them it's the smart thing to do. And it is the smart thing to do. We've just seen that in terms of the results that came out of Operation Warp Speed. We've seen it over and over and over again as we're on the cusp of breakthrough cures in cancer, dealing with things like sickle cell anemia, dealing with other kinds of disease, moving ahead on Alzheimer's, one of the toughest diseases that we deal with. All of these take investments. But you know, I've never heard the American people say at any town meeting or any gathering I was part of, you know, I think the government's just spending too much on cancer research, or spending too much on Alzheimer's, or spending too much to deal with some deadly virus or disease like Ebola that threatens us even though it's far away from us. The American people understand the importance of these investments, and I think you should remind the senators and congressmen that you meet with how important it is, and how important it is for us to find things that unify us and bring us together. Investments in the NIH and the larger medical research endeavor are the kinds of things that we do exceptionally well in this country, and they're the kind of things that save lives and inspire confidence in the future. So good luck. God bless you for what you're doing, and keep up the good work.